Welcome to Align and Elevate. Love who you are. A show where I can be me and you can be you. Let's get started. Welcome to this episode of Align and Elevate. Love who you are. And today I do have a special guest with me today, and her name is Michele. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and we're just going to have a chat about what she does and elevating our consciousness and aligning our mind, body, and spirit so that we are as true to our authentic self as we can get. So I'm going to let Michele take it away.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me on, Melanie. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so my name is Michele, and I am an intuitive. I was a very sensitive, intuitive child who grew up to have many different, I would say, initiations, which we can talk about some of those that kind of enhanced my intuition along the way. And so now I, have been through this whole journey of trying to figure out how I am a healer and what that looks like for me as an individual and find my own authentic path. Because I found that if I try and copy someone else and mimicry, it isn't as powerful as when I am fully embracing this is me activated in my gifts and who I am and showing up and shining in the way that I shine and holding space for others to shine in the way that they shine. So I initially interpreted that as becoming a mental health therapist, and then kind of thinking, okay, this isn't enough. I feel like there's so much more, and getting tired of kind of pretending to be quote unquote normal. And really kind of following that path and getting trained as a Reiki Master and getting training as a Shamanic practitioner and taking classes of chakras and reading and studying and learning all kinds of things, and really being deeply fascinated with energy and deeply fascinated with the variety of ways that one can experience healing in the world, a lot because I was trying to find some of my own healing in the world. And so, once we kind of learn how to promote healing within ourselves, I think, it's natural to want to share that with others, especially when you're the healer archetype.
Well, I love that it resonates with me so much, because I would try to fit into the boxes of the different trainings that I've been in, and I'm like, it doesn't feel right. Like there's just too confining is what I would call it. So I love the way you said you took all these trainings, but then as you healed and knew who you are, you kind of put your own spin on it. And I think that is important for so many reasons. I could go so many ways with that. But education in general, I feel that is not embraced enough in our general world.
Yeah.
Go be an architect, go be a doctor, go do that. You don't allow for the latitude of them to become who they really need to be.
Yeah, and that's so important to me, and has been such an important part of my path, and kind of very much shows up in who I am as a teacher. In fact, I do mostly one-on-one teaching so that I'm really customizing it to people to show them this is you. Let's find your gifts and how you work. And one example of that is the Akashic Records. And I think we get put in this box being an Akashic Records reader and taking trainings. The trainings didn't really make a lot of sense to me. They didn't quite resonate and fit for me. And I changed the prayer to kind of be a prayer that resonated more with my spirituality and my journey. And then I was I keep ending up there in this other way that my guides taught me. years ago where I'm, going in through some side door, I guess. I don't know.
I absolutely love that because I'm in an Akashic Records group,
Uh-huh.
and one of the ladies goes, "Well, you just go in the back door." And I'm like, "Exactly. I try
Yes.
to go in the front door and it works."
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, nah, it doesn't feel exactly natural and right. And I would stumble over the prayer and all those things. And I'm glad that it's out there and it works for some
Uh-huh.
people. But yeah, I think I'm more of a backdoor kind
Yeah.
of girl.
Well, and it's incredible, and thank goodness for Linda Moulton Howe and all the work that she did to kind of put together a path to the front door and
Hmm.
to be able to kind of channel that and bring that teaching into the world. And I think it's important for other people who have like you who found a back door. I found a side door, right? I'll portal in. It's an energy that is accessible to all of us.
Right.
And also, like, if you take a training and that way doesn't resonate with you, like, it's okay to find another way, whether that's energy healing or Akashic Records reading or even shamanic stuff or even something like really normal like knitting. Like, it's like if a certain way doesn't work for you, find the way that does if you're passionate about it and you're feeling drawn and called to it.
Yeah, I really experienced that when I did my myofascial release training.
Yeah.
It was like a handhold that was like this,
Uh-huh.
that they taught, and I tried it that way, of course, during the trainings. But I'm like, okay, I have big boobs that get in the way, and I'm like, that is not comfortable to cross my arms like that. So
Uh-huh.
from the get-go, I almost never did the cross hand hold. I
Yeah.
do it every now and then if I really feel like it needs it, but yeah, I
Hmm.
do it a completely different way, and it
Yeah, you
still
found the
works.
way that works for you. Yeah.
And it still works. And
Yeah.
I think being comfortable in your own body when
Hmm.
you are doing something,
Yeah,
you're going to be in a better flow state
for
than if
sure.
you try to do it the way you were taught.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the goal is do no harm at the end of the day,
Right,
right?
right.
So if you find another way that works just as well, but works better for your body and your path, whatever it is, I think that's so important.
Yeah. So you said you do one-on-one sessions with people. Walk us through that a little bit about what you do.
Well, because I have so many different offerings, my menu is 30, 60, or 90 minutes, because I do different things. So that hour or, 30 minutes or 90 minutes could look like doing, my beginner kind of intro to me is doing a chakra assessment. And I'm not looking at in the moment, are they balanced or imbalanced? I'm coming from I'm a shamanic intuitive channel. So everything kind of has some of that, like, let's do the shadow work. Like,
Hmm.
let's dig in there. So I'm looking at like, what does this chakra, it's basically channeling their chakra. What does this chakra want to tell this person? Sometimes it's a compliment. Sometimes it's like, hey, like you're doing really good with, um, doing creative things, like sacral chakra, right? Your sacral chakra is really happy right now. And so, is it okay if I give
Yeah,
a, so
please.
what I'm
It's
seeing is
fun.
like you're tapping into creativity. You're doing those things, and that chakra kind of has a complement.
Yeah.
And if we went and looked at your throat chakra, we would have a little bit more of kind of like, here's where you're doing great, and here's kind of that next thing to kind of work on, which is
Right.
so beautiful when the chakras can kind of tell us this energy center wants this, and this is how you get unstuck in this energy,
Yeah.
or this is how you keep this flow going.
Mm.
And then there's times, right, when a chakra is kind of like tightened up and it's like supposed to be. And
Mm.
so that's always interesting too, to be able to tell somebody like it's kind of blocked right now, but here's the reason why. And it's serving you because there's a time we get so caught up in these rules, right? Like we were talking about
Right.
before, there's like this one way.
Yeah.
But when we're working with the energy, the body has so much incredible wisdom and knowledge. And there's a time and a place that, like, let's hold you back to not have this external voice for a little bit because you're too emotionally reactive right now to have this conversation, right? Or I see a lot of females throat chakra issues where
Mhm.
males tend to have these really open throat chakras. And I think it's kind of society, right? You can kind of say whatever you want. Male anger and male aggression seems more acceptable in our society
Right.
than female anger or female emoting with big feelings, which is not true spiritually, but it's where kind of our culture has indoctrinated us in a sense. And
Yeah.
so when sometimes when that throat chakra is kind of shutting down, it's like, hey, like work on this and then open it up and then speak your truth. It's not about silencing yourself, it's about taking the pause. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of constricted in certain moments to take the pause. Just for example, not saying yours is, but just the example of what might kind of come up in that. And so
I,
that's kind of my intro. I'm doing a metaphysical fair this weekend, and that's probably most of what I'll be doing because kind of one of the things I offer is intuitive readings for people who don't know what their question is. Because I used to be that person. I
to know
didn't know
what their
the
what was?
question,
We,
didn't know what their question is.
oh, yes.
I used to want to go to like a psychic or go to a reader, but I'm like, I don't know what my question is.
What to ask.
I,
I
I
do that
know
sometimes.
I know that I want a reading, but I don't know what to ask. And so that's kind of where that ended up coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm asking the questions for them basically by asking each of their chakras, what do you want this person to know? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of the blind reading for the person who doesn't know. And then for people that really have serious big girl questions, right? Or big boy questions, like
Mm-hmm.
then I'll sit with people and tune into their higher self, tune into the guides, tune into their chakras. Or whatever spirit animals or whoever's coming through um, that's kind of in alignment to bring those answers through. And then I also do kind of energetic work, like if there's energy blockages, energetic attachments with shamanism,
Mm-hmm.
um, that kind of thing, where I'm not afraid to kind of look at that darker
Mm.
stuff and hold space with people. And
That
then I was hit by lightning almost 6 years ago now. And ever since then, not only did my intuitive gifts amplify, but the energy that I channel, it's not from me or of me, just like Reiki. It's something that I became the channel of after that experience. And it's a channeled energy that moves through me. And some of that I'm encoding in my voice as we talk so that the people who will listen to this will receive a degree of that energy and that healing should they choose to receive it
that
when they listen to this.
I love that very much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So gosh, you said so much there. I have to think about where do I want to
Sorry.
go with that. Definitely the part that just using more of the intuition and helping people even that don't know where they are on their own path is really kind of cool because I know there's people that are just like kind of stuck in a loop is what I would call it.
Yeah.
They literally either don't know they're on the loop
Uh-huh.
or they do and have no clue how to get off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just giving them that little exit basically by
Yeah.
tapping into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's really fun.
Yeah. Which is simply the information from the wisdom of the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if energy is stuck, the body knows that energy is stuck or that it's not theirs. The
Yeah.
body wisdom knows, the brain doesn't always know.
Yeah. So I'm curious because you said your first background was in mental health,
Uh-huh.
traditional sense then.
Yeah.
So what do you find different now, kind of comparing how you work with people now versus when you did it just through
Mhm.
traditional methods? What are you noticing?
Um, the traditional methods don't give enough space for intuition, flow. Um, and I was fortunate in the majority of my career to be able to have some some say in the ways that I did things because I could see the energy and I could, I had, their grandma showing up helping me do the session or their guides talking to me, which is how I became a conscious channel actually. So I am so grateful for that training and that experience and the years of doing that because it really taught me to have one foot in this reality and be able to have the conversation and be interactive and appear normal, quote unquote, and then also be tapping into knowing what it is. And what I would do is basically ask questions to get them to the thing where now I can just tell them, here's the thing, like, here's where you're stuck. And I can, I do something called psychic IFS. And I don't know if you've ever heard of internal family systems. It's
Oh,
a
yeah, I think I
it's
have.
a therapy model, but you don't have to be a therapist to do that model.
Yeah.
It's open to all kinds of healers where you work with the parts of yourself. Well, I
Mhm.
found that after I got trained in working with internal family systems work, I started having their people's parts popping up on my psychic screen, and I'm interacting with them. So that energy, because it's an energy, right? So um, it it laid a good foundation for me, but it wasn't enough,
Yeah.
right? So I couldn't just be like, okay, it seems like when you were sick, something happened, and this part's telling me this. And I I love the freedom and the authenticity because holding myself back so much didn't feel authentic, and I didn't like that. It didn't feel right in my body. I felt limited. Um,
Right.
if I was supposed to be going through protocols and like getting a full history, and I knew intuitively that's not a good idea. One, I
Mhm.
wouldn't do it because my ethics always came first.
Right.
But I did have to, I did get in trouble for that a few times from
Yep. Yep.
supervisors who are like, there's a very specific way to do this. And I'm like, no, there's not.
Yeah.
Again, I've always been kind of that rebel spirit, but like a rebel in love and light, not a rebel in like causing destruction and damage. And that if
Yep.
I really feel like this is energetically what is ethical and this is what is in the best alignment, I'm going to do that
Yep.
first
Yep.
before I'm going to follow a human rule.
No, I love that very much because I kind of subscribed to that way of thinking myself. Um, I think in some ways I shut part of myself down because I was following those rules.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like you were saying, you just were uncomfortable and didn't feel as authentic as you can be now. And I think it makes you a better person to work with because you are allowing that part of you to shine through, and therefore they get the healing that much easier, quicker, you know, all the things compared to when you were kept in your little box. So I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
There was something else you said that really struck me and probably went out my head already. Because I'm like you, not always on the same plane in each moment. That's happening more and more lately. I don't know if you've noticed that. A
Hmm.
pretty big shift
Yeah.
here this year. I would say in
I'm seeing more and
2025.
more people doing that, kind of that walking between two worlds. Yeah.
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 Um, so just to let the listeners know, hey, you're not crazy. You're not losing your memory. You don't have dementia, all the things.
Mm.
You're just literally shifting, and it's okay. You just
Yeah.
learn how to shift with it.
Shifting is hard. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, kind of that concept of like light worker and people thinking that it's all like love and light and peace and harmony, but being a light worker is hard. Like, you have to face some dark stuff. And so, like, being comfortable with the shadows is really important to be a light worker
Yep.
and being able to face those things that have you stuck or like feel the discomfort of now suddenly my body refuses this food and now I
Yep.
can't remember things and I forgot this yesterday I couldn't remember what probiotics were called and I was like racking my brain. I'm like, I know it's there. I take
I,
them and I could not remember for
the
the
name.
life of me what they were called. It's just a silly little,
Mhm.
thing, but I think that's happening to a lot of us right now. Just to give like a everyday example of this is happening.
And that is so true. And I have several of my clients will tell me that. And I'm like, it's okay that you don't remember that name. That brings up like a whole nother concept that really fascinates me is, are we even supposed to have memory?
Mhm.
Or if you're truly tapped in to your true authentic self and connected to God, source, creator, divine, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
Buddha, whoever. If you're truly connected, when you need the information about something, it will come to you.
Uh-huh.
And do you actually need the quote memory that we've operated on for all of these years? So that's one of those bigger concepts that I
Yeah.
contemplate and think,
I think you're absolutely right, and you're absolutely onto something. I hadn't thought about it that way before, but as you're talking, like it's got my wheels turning, and I'm kind of thinking about like, yeah, like ultimately the way I figured out the name was I channeled. I just asked one of my guides, what is that called again? And they answered it for me. I'm like, oh yeah.
thank
And so yes, I don't know that we would fully need that memory. I think right now, like in this human form, like remembering, not to touch a hot stove, the instinctual stuff, I still want that. But I
you.
think these, oh, we moved a lot of energy there.
Yeah, I saw the glitch.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when we're forgetting, right? It's almost like training for that. Like I'm wondering if like a lot of people aren't finding the answer by going to channeling, and if that isn't kind of a beginning of that training for becoming kind of that next vibrational level of human where
Yeah.
we don't need to rely on memorization memory, but we rely more on the flowing state of consciousness for that stuff.
Yeah, because I look at two different ways, kind of. If you are so stuffed with memories, A, if you're living by those, you're living in the past,
Hmm.
not in the present.
Yep.
That's one part. And two, as more of a physical part of it, I look at it like you've stuffed your trash can's overflowing.
Yeah.
There's no more room for the light to come in because your trash can is full of stuff. And you
Uh-huh.
got to let some of those memories go. They'll come back when you need them. They're not gone forever.
Yeah.
Because that freaks people out a little bit. You know, when you say detach from your mom and they're like, what? I can't do that.
Uh,
It's okay. She's still there. All your memories are still there. But how do you put that? Hmm. The energies that you don't need are not there anymore, but the
mhm.
energies you do need will still be there. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Letting go of what's not really serving you anymore. So yeah, I look at that in a couple of different ways. So that's really cool.
Yeah. No, that makes so much sense. It's like the concept of like cord cutting or energetic strand cutting, right? Is
Yep.
people get so afraid to cut those cords, and yet it like clears the old and creates space for a new heart to heart cord to connect or something else. So something new, something different when we let go and release the old. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I do it on a regular basis
Hmm.
with my closest friends and family.
Yeah,
Yeah, very much so. Because
yeah.
it does, I do feel like it allows for a whole new perspective to come in. And um, it also puts you in your own energy field for that moment when you do cut them. Then you
Hmm.
even know what's truly yours
Yeah.
and what's not tangled up with other people too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because
So,
how else do you know? If we're so intertwined with another person's energy,
yeah,
there's no way to know like what's mine. And that is, you asked earlier, like what's one of the best shifts from being kind of a mental health professional to, working as an intuitive and a shamanic practitioner is I can help people with cutting the cords and be like, let's cut these first so that we can know what's just you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's clear
Yeah.
this out, because otherwise, why do all of this work? And I think a lot of people are stuck in doing a bunch of work that isn't even theirs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Hmm.
And then wondering, why can't I heal from this? And like, well, cut the cord with your mom or your husband or your cat. Cats
Yeah.
will, cats will actually get mean when you cord with them. Have you experienced this where if someone cords into their cat, the cat will just be like knocking stuff over and mean, and you uncord and the cat's like, you want to hang out?
I am going to tell my friend that. Oh my gosh, this one cat's been giving her all kind of issues. I need to tell her to cut the cord with her cat and see what that does. Oh, that's a good one. I love that. I will
Yeah,
let her
dogs are
know.
pretty chill about it, but cats, I mean, cats see energy, they feel
Yeah.
energy. They're doing energetic work everywhere they're going, right? When they're going back and forth like that, they're doing some sort of energetic work that we don't fully comprehend. So, but
Mm.
if you poured into a cat, oh man, they are like, I want my autonomy back.
Oh, I love that so much. I have a bunch of cats, so I'm like going through my brain going, okay, that one, that one, that one, that. So I'm like already thinking what I need to do with all of my different cats. That's great.
Yeah,
Um,
cats are great teachers for energy work and cord clearing, and won't cut a cord to their human. And so that's why they get so mad. If a stranger cords them, they'll cut it. But if it's their human that they're here to energetically protect, they won't cut it, but they will be a complete in the blank, fill in the blank in order to get your attention to like cut that.
so I'm thinking about Stormy. It's the cat was born to us, and then my daughter kind of adopted her and took her to
Mhm.
college and all the things, but she's back home now. And she loves to knock stuff off of the counter. Just her favorite thing to do. I'm gonna tell her, do a little work with your cat and see what happens, see if she
Yeah.
comes down.
Yeah, test out. Is that the cat's personality, or is that's the cat's way of saying, if you're going to cord into me, I'm going to knock your stuff over?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, she's also jealous because there's a new baby in the house, and so she's like, I got relegated a little bit. So she's a jealous sister at the moment.
Oh, that
So,
happens.
yes. So what was that other thing you said? Gosh, it was in my brain. I have got to start writing these things down. Oh, there was something you really said that was like, oh, I wanted to go back to it. Yep, it left me. It'll come back in a second. So is there any, like particularly this year, are you seeing any particular themes with your clients that is more on a collective level? Because I want people to understand as you work on yourself and you heal your shadow and you step into your authenticity and all of that stuff, there is a ripple effect of that out into the collective as well, which will help us create a better world to live in, whether you think that's true or not, whether you're really seeing that in the outer world or not, it is happening. I truly 1000% feel that that is happening because 10 years ago, you and I wouldn't have been having this conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, are you seeing any themes or anything in the collective as we've changed and shifted this year?
What I'm seeing is with people that are doing, intuitive development and tapped in, is a lot more telepathic ability starting to come online.
Mm.
And that your telepathic ability is linked to your throat. It's interesting. My throat just had a reaction to
Mm-hmm.
that. So more and more people are, and it starts out really basic. So even in the general population, people are experiencing this, and I'm seeing it in that world too, in that thinking about somebody and then they call. Like that's the really basic, like foundational, all humans can kind of relate to those
Mm-hmm.
telepathic moments, right? Where, and telepathic conversation isn't like hearing you talk to me. It's a knowing.
Mm.
And so it's again, it's energy, especially if you're more claircognizant or you're more of an energy reader versus, some people are going to get a picture and an image. They're going to picture that person in their mind.
Right.
And so pay attention. Those telepathic abilities we often think are just audio, audible
Right.
sound. And I'm seeing those telepathic abilities kind of amplifying in everyone. And they picture the person and they picture them like holding their arm. And then the person like tells them, hey, can you, send me Reiki because I just broke my arm. Or
Right.
like there's more of those kind of things. So remember, it can be subtle. And that's the fun thing about playing in the magic is it's subtle. It's not like often, sometimes it is, but it's not often the big Harry Potter um
Oh, right.
experience. It's magic is when you have that image or you have that dream of,
Mhm.
a loved one who said goodbye and you realize they passed away. It's when you are
Mhm.
able to like get that information that the friend broke their arm. It's when I mentioned courting and cats, and suddenly you go, I know which cat this is about. I know why Michelle brought this up in this conversation. It's this cat, right?
Right.
You pictured that cat. I watched it flash it on your screen,
Mhm.
and then the information ran through your head, and then three cats popped up on your screen, and then you were like, okay. And
Yep.
then your energy kind of calmed back down, right? So
Yeah.
you had that, I witnessed you have that telepathic interaction with several different intuitive skills come online at once in your field,
Yeah.
and you were processing that information. And if you were to stop and sit and think about that experience,
Right.
be writing a few pages, but that experience happening energetically, again, we're talking about that higher consciousness
Right.
earlier. It's so fast. And our processing speeds are the other thing that's picking up. So we have the telepathic ability that can be more than sound, and then our processing speed. So you think of the processing speed of our computers, right? Like
Right.
we also have processing speeds. And I think the younger generations being born on the planet are coming in with faster processing speeds. Like I can't listen to an audiobook without putting it on at least 1.2. Like
Uh,
1.2 is like the lowest, or it's at 1.5.
yeah.
Because I'm just like, give me the information. Let's move.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love
So,
that.
yeah.
So you brought up so many things just then. My daughter literally said this morning, I have a donkey who's quite old
Uh,
and a little feeble, and so he lays down quite a bit. And so there's literally days you look at him and you're like, is he okay?
uh-huh.
My daughter said this morning, she goes, "Yep, I think Doodles is telepathic because I'll stand there, look at him, and like just think, are you okay this morning?" And he'll prop his head up and go, "Yep, I'm still here," and then he'll lay back down.
Oh, I love that.
And so
Yes.
it is so, she literally said that this morning, and I was like, that is so fun.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a really good example of the subtlety too,
mhm.
right? So someone else might look at that and be like, oh, he didn't respond. Yeah, he really did, actually. He heard it, he experienced it,
Yep.
and I'm glad she's in tune enough to
Yeah.
be able to go, that is a response.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then she just had a baby that's only 2 months old. And like what you're saying, I can literally look at that child already, and you can almost see the processing in his eyes,
Mhm.
like uh, way different than I feel like my kids were, who are
Mhm.
in their 20s. There's like a definite difference in them.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, in fact, I would say between 6 weeks and he's 9 weeks now, it's almost like a different little light turned on or something. It was so
Uh-huh.
interesting to see
Yeah.
how different he is. And he didn't act like what I would consider, I'm going to quote, normal,
Mhm.
what babies did back when I had kids. Like
Yeah.
he was very different. And so, what I would like our listeners to understand is there is no normal, there is no specific anything. Embrace the way it is and just flow with it and go with it and understand there's nothing wrong with what's happening. Occasionally, you'll go, okay, wait, something needs to be addressed. But in a general sense, understand that maybe it's just part of the shift. Maybe that's just the way it needs to be now. See, we did it again with them.
It did it again.
Yep.
Yeah. I like to think about it as things are familiar or unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no normal or abnormal, really. It's like, is it familiar? And what's familiar is changing.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, we didn't have computers and phones and all of that stuff. So if I just jumped from then to now, this world would be so unfamiliar to me. But currently, because it happened through time, it became familiar. And so as humans are gradually kind of growing and ascending and, processing speeds are speeding up and higher dimensional souls are able to incarnate, like all of these things that are happening, it's becoming more and more familiar. Like you said, 10 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And this is a lot more familiar. There are more people that are looking for this content. There are more people that are open to this content, that resonate with this content. It's becoming more familiar.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that 100%. Okay, so what else was there that I was going to pick apart? I can't remember what it was now. Was there something else? Was there something you wanted to say?
I keep feeling like there's something you really want to ask me. And
I
it's kind of
know, and it's like
blocking.
escaping me. It's like I know it's back there somewhere. It's like go find it again. Oh my gosh. I think there were so many goodies in there. It's like my brain is like going blah.
Which one do you want to pick
Which
out?
one do I want to pick out?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went over that really well. Something around, I guess the biggest message is the normalization, or like you said, the familiar, becoming familiar with allowing change to happen. Because I do see that's maybe where a lot of people are still stuck, I guess, or because I work with the physical body and the mental side of things and the emotional side of things, spiritual side, people will still be really stuck on, well, I have this and I did this and, this hurts and this is whatever. And just letting people understand that there is an energetic component somewhere inside of all of that stuff. That if you're stuck in the physical issues, to step out and look at something else. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times those physical issues are there to teach us something, right? So I do my best to shift my language from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me?
Right.
And so sometimes that really makes me angry when I ask myself that, when I'm really frustrated in the moment and life is hard, or, I have so many, issues with digestion and food sensitivities, which a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And I get so frustrated. I'm like, why is this happening for me? I know this is happening for me.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to adapt to that change, that my body's changing as my energy changes, as my frequency changes, as the way I need to eat for me. I'm not saying that people that are intuitive and psychic and healers need to eat a specific diet,
Right.
but I am figuring out the one that I need to eat to stay in a higher vibration for me.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of that adapting to change. And I don't like giving up sugar. I'm not happy about giving up sugar. Thank goodness honey and maple syrup still exist, and agave and some of the other things that I can have, because I mean, who doesn't want sugar? But being able to adapt to the change, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's the thing that I go to, you know, there's the familiar and the unfamiliar, but there's also, this is just uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? It's not that this horrible thing, I'm not a victim, it's uncomfortable. And adapting to change is uncomfortable for humans. It has been for a long time.
Right.
The other thing that I think about when you say that is duality,
Mm.
right? As we've been living in this world of duality. And like it's almost like there's two energies on earth. There's the energies of those who are like, yeah, let's expand our consciousness and let's like play in the magic. This is fun. And
Yes.
let's do our shadow work. Let's face our healing. Let's feel our feelings. Let's let our processing speeds rise up.
Right.
And then there are those who are like, I want everything to be how it was because that's what's familiar. And I
Mm.
think we almost, it was like duality was becoming a little more fluid. And then it was like there was this pushback. And now it's like there's this distinct separations
Mm.
of duality.
Yeah.
And I had a friend the other day say, oh, like, I don't want to have to talk to those 3D people. And I was like, wait a minute now. Like, she is a star seed who is here to help and an incredible, loving human who is having a moment, in
Mm.
fairness to her.
Right.
But also, like, that's that, then we're creating another duality, right? We're kind of feeding energy to that old paradigm of us and them, or
Right.
this and that. And to be able to um, say, you know, my truth is my truth and your truth is your truth. And I can hold space for you to have your truth.
Right.
Please don't attack me with it.
Yeah.
Uh, which they will. We'll have to delete comments from people who don't like what you have to say, what I have to say. Okay, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Or let them just sit there and
Say whatever
whatever.
you say. Yeah.
But like, I don't have to attack that back. I can say, this is my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I hold space that you have your truth. I honor that you have your truth. And that puts us in this space of like, we're not in complete unity and harmony. We're not where like the angels are or the higher beings that
Right.
can be like, oh, you had that car accident. Isn't that wonderful what that taught you? Like
Right.
I said, why is this happening for me? Sometimes I get mad. But also, like, I'm not there. I'm not to that higher perspective, nor do I feel like I'm called to be. I
Right.
feel like the unity and the harmony of kind of the learning, okay, we are all one. And I'm this version, this expression right now. This is the role I'm playing, and this is my truth, and that's your truth.
Yeah.
Is holding space for that. And even though I may not like the other person's truth, there's still a little bit of duality in that.
Right.
And but I can adapt to change better if I'm holding space for you get to believe what you believe, and I'm not going to try and change your mind. I'm going to usually just listen, which is kind of what I usually do, right?
Yeah.
I have some fundamentalist family members who like to tell me things, and they're coming at me to change my mind, and I really just listen. I don't try and tell them about my beliefs or my thoughts because that's not the kind of conversation they're coming from. They're coming from that place of this is duality and you have to come back on this team, right? And being able to hold that space, right?
Right. And I think it's important for people to understand that we probably are going to have two teams for a while on the planet. And
Oh,
so it
yeah.
doesn't matter. Get wherever you're comfortable. Go wherever you feel most supported
Yeah.
and comfortable
Yeah.
because not everyone is designed to do what you and I do
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
play in that world. It took me a long time to realize that, truthfully, because I have the same thing, family or friends or whatever that are quote 3D or however you want to put it, still want to be in that vibration and that frequency because that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
That
That
it
frequency is so all or nothing. It has to be my way or your way.
right,
right, to raise frequency is to say you get to have your way and I get to have my way, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, listening is key, and um, the holding space part where you're just, okay, you want to tell me about it? Go ahead. That's great. And then you turn around and walk your life, and they turn around and walk their life, and there's no, to me, that takes out the, what's the word I'm trying to say? I want to say war, but it's not a war, but it's, it takes the battle out of it a little bit. It takes the tension and the anger and all of that out of it.
Yeah, because if I battle with that and I say, no, I want you to believe what I believe, right, then I'm just in this battle and this power struggle, really, that's not going to get anyone anywhere.
Right.
But if I just listen and have compassion, there's not anything to battle about. It's just like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's beautiful. Well, we have chatted for quite a while. Is there any other thing? I did want you to let people know how they can get a hold of you, and maybe websites or Facebook or anything that you're on. You want to tell everybody that, and then I'll also link them below the video too. But
Yeah, so my website is Luminous Ignus, Luminous, Luminous Ignus, Ignus, which is Latin for ignite, .com. And all of my social media and stuff is on that website. I have a YouTube channel under Luminous Ignus, and also an Instagram and a Facebook page if anyone wants to find me there.
sweet. I love it very much. Thank you so much. I loved learning that you're a fellow Texan, as I am.
Yes.
And just as a fun aside, we met online through stuff, and then we got to talking, and we're like, yeah, we're from down the road from each other. And I was like,
Yeah.
that was so fun. Small
That is
world.
so fun. It is such a small world. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
It was great. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we will let everyone go, and we wish everyone well, and have a great day whenever you're seeing this. Thanks for listening today to Align and Elevate. If I can help you in any way, look me up at melanieking.me, or check me out on Facebook, Instagram. MK Healer is my handle. As always, I will be me, you be you, and love who you are.